Hello, everyone, and here we are. We are going to talk about the mid-season power rankings of Survivor 46. I know most people talk about them before the merge. I'd rather talk about it after the merge, simply because of the mergatory situation. And technically, this week we're also going to get the split tribal, so it's still crazy dynamics, but this is where I'm going to do the receiving power rankings for the channel. So let's start talking about it. But real quick, let's talk about the direction and how I think the season is going so far. And truth be told, I am very much confused on the direction of the season. Like last few seasons, 44, 45, 44, 43, 42, can't really say 41, but you get the point. Like I at least knew how things would play out. Like certain people to look at, certain people to not look at. Like I could at least narrow it down to like maybe six to two to three people that I could definitely classify as true candidates for the win. This season, I feel like it's strange. We had a really good premiere. We had a moderate second episode, and then this episode 3 and 4 were all focused on the show trying to make us sympathize for Banu, and they really dived deep into that, and it really lost pace on how the season was supposed to play out, in my opinion, and we've been trying to recover from it since. 5 was fine, I guess. It, all it did was really cause more questions for myself personally. And then we have this Mergatory episode, which provided no context for me, so I'm still trying to figure out how scenes are going to go. Honestly, I can only say like maybe 2 to 3 things that I'm certain of. The rest are just up in the air. So I'm going to try my best. I'm not confident, but here we go. Let's talk about the remaining players still in the game and how likely I think they are to win the game based on statistics of their games inside of their games and the edits that have been given to them. But first, let's talk about those who have been voted out already, starting off with Jelinski. May I say, he's a several legend. Little pun. As far as what I think of Jelinski as a game player, I mean, I think he tried to do too much too fast, and I think maybe it was the use coming to play here. He was the youngest one on the cast. I think Jelinski definitely left a mark. I think his game could have used some fine tuning, and I think also perception is a lot in the game Survivor, and Jelinski didn't account for that. Plus, he just blabbed too much. So I wasn't surprised that he was the first one voted out. Then we have Jess. I think going into the game, Jess thought that she would be able to handle the game differently, but the game played her, the conditions played her, and she wasn't able to socially ingrain herself with the other tribe mates, except maybe Banu apparently. So I'm not surprised she was voted out where she was, but I think Jess wasn't wasn't made for Survivor. Then we have Randon, our medically evacuated player. My opinions on Randon going into the season were I think he's better than people are giving him credit for. I was glad that he's not the first one voted out. He wasn't voted at all, actually. And from what I gathered, he wasn't in any immediate danger. And also, it seemed like he, along with Venus, were actually cultivating a blind side on Soda. I just wish he had gotten the chance to pull it off and to maybe, at the very least, been able to give his Beware advantage to Venus before he was removed from the game. Do I think he should return like Bruce was? I don't know. It's debatable. It's debatable. I'll let you decide your opinions on that. Now we have Banu. Survivor loves Banu, apparently, and they tried to make us love Banu as well. I think the show bought into his theme of wanting to win 1,000,000 hearts versus $1,000,000, and they dedicated 2 straight episodes right in the middle of the pre-merge in order to get that message across. Just like Jess, I don't think Banu knew how to play Survivor well or at all, and I wouldn't say I was annoyed with Banu's consistent involvement in the show. I just know I'm still trying to recover from his overexposure and trying to figure out how the direction of the game is going because of that. My opinions on Banu, the player, not that great. I mean, you don't want to be compared to Philip Shepard. Redemption Island version. That's just not a good player at all. Now we have Gem. I like Gem. I really do. I do like Gem. When she found the Beware advantage, she pulled off a pretty funny prank on her tribe. It was a very good TV moment, not a good moment for a strategy apparently. Although I would have sought to do it the same thing, but I would have actually planted a fake idol there instead of just having them dig forever. Gotta give them something, I guess. Now, I don't think the show was completely honest with why Jem was voted out. Maybe it was because she was going a little bit too hard on her tribe mates, or it could have been other reasons as well. I think Jem has a lot of potential. I also see her as a Kelly Wentworth figure, especially with her ingenuity with idols. Out of everyone that we've talked about so far, I would like to see Jem back the most. And I think, given what she learned from her first time around, I think she can definitely improve. Plus, she'll make for good TV moments. Like we can see her try to have her try her. We can potentially see her try to manipulate her tribe to take part of their fully constructed shelter for half of an idol next time. I'm just throwing out scenarios. Now we have our mergatory vote, Mariah. We did not get much from Mariah this season. I knew she was firmly ingrained in the Charlie's Angels alliance, which imploded. Here's also a good note that I learned this season. When it comes to alliances that are the first things featured on the starting tribe of the new era, do not believe that they are actually going to stay together. They never do. Should have learned that lesson with Tika. Fell for it. Never again. We didn't get much of a Mariah, but I believe she is still a good player. She just bought into the Sega setup, and she played herself out of the game by both holding information back and letting the other people play her game for her. People who did not have her best interest at heart. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. We're going to talk about the 12 remaining players and who has the best shot to win the game from least to most. The first 3, I am very certain on that they will not win. Everything after that is just speculation and loose theories tied together with, I'm trying to think of a synth or string-like substance, twine. Yeah, that's it, twine. Held together by twine. Things can change weekly for all I know. I'm not 100% confident with the last 9, but I am certain about these first 3 not being able to win. And we will start off with number 12, Liz. Simple thing is, who is Liz? We haven't gotten much from her. We didn't talk much with her during the pre-merge, and I feel like we got to know majority of the people on Nami. We certainly got to know Venus, Tevin, Hunter, Soda, and Randon. Even we got conversations with. We never really got an in-depth conversation with Liz. All that we really got about her was how Tevin and Soda feel about her, and they're not exactly positive things. So I don't really have much faith in Liz being able to win the game. Now, number 11, we have who I believe will probably be one of the next few out in the upcoming weeks. We have Soda, and Soda had a good premiere, which is why I have her above Liz, but ever since then, she's been getting sort of like this negative content about her relationship with Venus. We've also gotten talks with Tevin and Liz and Hunter about wanting to target her, and it also seemed like if Nami had gone to tribal before the merge, there was a really good chance that Soda could have been the one voted out. Mind you, there it could have also been Venus, but from what we've been getting, it's most likely would have been Soda. And going to the merge is obviously different circumstances, but just based off the edit we've been getting about the Soda versus Venus or rivalry, I guess, it's always been pro Venus, anti Soda. So that's why I believe that somehow, some way, Venus is going to come out on top of that whole feud. And lastly, for these bottom 3 that I know are definitely not going to win the game, number 10, I have Tim. And it's similar to Liz on we do not have much about Tim. Like I feel like the show has been making an effort to exclude Tim from any sort of feedback, I guess. It's only been with these last two episodes that we've gotten anything from Tim. Really, the middle portion of the pre-merge, which I declare the Banu era, we got absolutely nothing from Tim. Then later on, we got stuff from Tim, but they were mostly meaningless. Like we got him talking about how he was suspicious of Jem, and true, I guess you can count him for getting his way with flying Jem out. But then we go into the Mergatory, and it seemed like the show was sort of dunking on Tim, trying to make it seem like he made some poor decisions. And if if you, I'm going to put this as simple as possible. If you have a period where you absolutely get no content and then you come back and it's majority negative on you, then there's no real faith that you can win the game. I will say Tim's been getting more content recently, more than Liz or Soda, so that's why I have him above them. But I honestly suspect out of this new majority alliance that he's trying to create with Q and Hunter, that there's a good chance that they're going to turn on him and he'll be the first one out of that scenario. That's just me talking though. Okay, we are here for the most important part of the video, the final 9. Now, I want to say right off the bat, I think any one of these 9 players can still be the person who ends up winning the game. There's little evidence to differentiate from each person, and each one has both positives and negatives to their game and how the show is portraying them. So things can still go either way. Like, we are still trying to recover from the portion of the show where they were trying to showcase Banu all the time. So let's come to this. 9 people still with probably an equal shot at winning the $1 million. So let's get into it. At number 9, I have Ben. Now, I was starting to think Ben had more of a shot last week during the gem vote. As we saw a lot more of Ben, we saw his relationships with Tim, Charlie, all that sort of stuff. And we've been consistently getting fun segments of him in the show. But in this Mergatory episode, we basically didn't get anything really of substance from him. And I think if you were going to be an important person in the game or in a potential winner, you have to have at least something of substance in this stage of the game, and we got nothing from Ben. I think he's more relied on as a character and less as a player, so that's why I have Ben at number 9. Now, number 8. It honestly breaks my heart to have to do this, but at number 8, I have Venus. That's done a little, but just going off of what's going on right now and all the sheer confusion, this is where I have Venus, and people have been wanting villains to be in Modern Survivor, the new era. Well, here we go. We got Venus. I think Venus has a lot better of a shot to win the game than most people are giving her credit for. She's definitely been prominent in the show, I'll give her that. And there's still a lot more of the game to go on, so things could recover. But based off the evidence we have right now, it seems like everyone dislikes her, and no one is really willing to work with her long term. And she is consistently trying to do too much too fast, and it's biting her in the moment. So if she doesn't get voted out in the next few weeks, if she doesn't royally screw herself over, she might get to the end, but she might be a losing vote finalist. But I think there is still a chance that she could turn around and potentially win if she's up against others that have less of a shot than she does. We shall see. Now, at number 7, I have someone who dropped down in my rankings tremendously in the last 2 weeks, Charlie. Now, I think Charlie is definitely a narrator. He's been relied on to sort of explain the scenarios in Sega the most. But I have to compare Charlie to Drew from last season, 45, where the narrators don't normally around the late stages of the game, they get found out and they get blindsided. Now, I'm not trying to predict what will happen, but I've seen some inconsistencies with Charlie these last couple weeks, and I don't know if he's in as good a position as he was in Sega. I think going into this Mergatory, I think he's definitely dropped down in security. I think he definitely still has Maria, and I think he does still have Ben. I think Ben thinks Tim's loyal to him, but Tim is not loyal to Ben. And So if Ben realizes that, he can go back to Charlie. But I think unless he gets in a more solidified position in the merge, he can find himself as an easy target. But we shall see. I think the edit is supporting a deep run, potentially going to the finale. But I'm not getting winner energy from him so far. Now at number 6, I have our first Yanu player. I have, this might surprise everyone, Tiffany. Yay! Excuse me for that. Now, I think Tiffany had a really great premiere. Like, she got a lot of content. She showed to be at the center of Yanu. She also has an idol still, which is great. She's one of 2 people that has an idol now. But I've been seeing some inconsistencies in her edit going each episode, and I've also been noticing that in each episode she's been getting less and less and less and less screen time, less and less times to explain her point of view. It seems like the premiere was more for Tiffany, and as we've been going on, Q and Kenzie have been getting more of the confessional time and the chances to explain their points of view. I still think Tiffany is well secured in her Yana group. I think Kenzie and Q are more loyal to her. But I honestly think if Tiffany was the most likely one to win out of those 3, that we would be seeing more of her, not less. So I still think Tiffany has a chance, but she needs to get more. She needs to increase her edit more in the next couple weeks. Otherwise, I think I'm going to have to count her out. But still, I think she's playing a great game. Now at number 5, I have our last Sega member. I have Maria. Now, I think Maria is the most well positioned as far as Sega goes. She seems to have multiple options going into the merge. She has Charlie, she has remaining Segas, she has Tim, who wants to include him in this Journey alliance with people from Nami and Yanu, which I think is bull, and will blow up. But it seems like Maria is the person that people want to work with, which can be very beneficial. The problem with me is she had a really great premiere and she had a very good second episode, and we can also count a third episode, but other than that evidence, it seems like she's been getting less confessional, she's been getting less screen time, less of an edit. And I'm not saying that's a detriment right away, I'm just saying there needs to be more towards her potentially being a winner. Maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself, but I think being compared to Denise is a good thing, but she hasn't been getting a Denise style of edit like we've been seeing. I don't know. I think she's a good contender. I think she has a chance to go far in the game, but I'm just not seeing winner from her, and that scares me. So that's why I have her at number 5. Now at number 4, I have Tevin. Now, Tevin for me is a lot similar to both Tiffany and Charlie, although I've seen more of an effort from the edit to try and make make Tevin his seem in the right. Tevin, as far as Nami is considered, I think is very similar to Soda, but the edit in the show has been making more of an effort to protect Tevin than Soda. So that, along with Tevin being a real focal point within the Nami tribe and seemingly to be continue that in going into the merge, I think Tevin has a large chance to move forward in the game and make it far. And I think if he does manage to get to the end, I think he has a really decent shot at winning. The problem is, I think Tevin might be a little too out there. I think he might have too much going for him, and there's a lot of risk with going with that. So I have Tevin at number 4, a real top person to look at, but as far as thinking that he has the best chance of winning, I don't think so. Now, number 3, this might be an odd choice, especially considering that he's this high up, but at number 3, I have Q. Q, I think he's sort of like the inverse of Tiffany, where she had a very good premiere, Q didn't, and while he might have had some bumps and stumbles along the way with how the editor tries to try and portray him as a potential quitter, I see him being more prominent within the edit as the season goes on. He's consistently getting more and more and more to do, and he's definitely been shown to be a leader and a real drive in the strategic element of the game. He's also been shown to sometimes get his way, but sometimes not. Like this last vote, he originally wanted Mariah, and then he switched to Venus, and then we didn't see him go back to Mariah. It also shows him being a bit more emotional with his strategic decisions, but I think he's sort of consistent as far as his drive in the game, and the fact that he's been rising up in confessionals and more showtime, his screen time on the show, I think supports him moving forward. Plus, I think he compares himself to Boston Rob, and even though the show hasn't shown him being compared to Boston Rob, sort of, he made the comparison of he's Boston Rob and Bonu is Philip, so I think that's something to note. Do I think he has a chance at winning? Maybe, but he needs to show more of a softness rather than a harshness moving forward. Now, at number 2, I have Hunter. I think going into the season, people had Hunter at a good solid number to not go home early, and I support that. I do. And he's been quiet so far in the edit. I think, it was when he found the idol, his confessionals spiked, and going into the merge as well, this mergatory, he got his idol, so he has an idol in his pocket, which could be helpful, as he's probably the biggest target as far as physicality is concerned and challenge-wise. It's either going to be him, Q, or Tim for that potential. I also think he has a social element behind him, which could very much help. Now, as far as my thinking he has a chance at winning, I think he's solid as far as things going for him. There's an element of too perfect, which could be something to knock him for. But as far as a stable force going forward, I think Hunter is that, and that's why I have him at number 2. Things can still go anyway, though. I'm really not confident in any of this. Now at number 1, the person I think at this moment in the game, things can still change moving forward, but at this moment, At number one, I have Kenzie. Yes, the mermaid dragon herself. Now, I think you can knock some things for Kenzie. I think there's a lot of pros for Kenzie, but I think her positives outweigh her negatives. And in the game's forever, you always have to be looking forward. And there's still a lot of game to be played, and the things that accumulated to her negative content are all gone. Like Jess, Banu, they're all gone. And I think the scene where Q and Tiffany were complaining about her always checking in is something in the past. Like there, it was just the three of them on an island. It's over, and they were just it was sort of like a cabin fever sort of situation. But now there's more people, and I think seeing something similar to that happening again is lessened. I think Kenzie is still a huge threat and a target from what Banu said, but I also think that out of the Yanus, she has the most likely ability to recover from that. It's still a long way to go, but as of right now, this moment, I have Kenzie at number one, and I think she has the best odds at winning Survivor 46. And that is it for my thoughts on Survivor 46 for this mid-season power ranking. Now, there's still a lot more game to be played, and I think either it has to be the next few weeks where some solid semblance of who has the best chance will be solidified. We're still recovering from when Banu was the show's main priority, and it's just shows to tell you how fluid the game of Survivor can be sometimes. When normally when you have a really good season, you can narrow it down to like 3 to 4 to maybe 5 players who has the best chance to win. But in a very messy season like this, you have 9 people who are still in contention for having a good edge and a good support system and being in a good position to get to the end and win. So that's still something to be said, but everything can still change. We still got more game to play out. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to learn from it. And when 46 is done, I intend to talk about the player rankings. I intend to talk about the season. I'm excited to see how this all ends and all moves forward. And even though this has been a very different season from 45, I'm still excited to be here for the ride. So that's all I have to say. Till next time, Voidtune out.